Dear Richard, what is the difference between a spiritual life and if I just live my life in the world as I am, doing what I'm doing, just a natural life and fulfilling myself in my being? Is there any difference between the spiritual sacred life that you speak of and this living my life to the full and satisfaction and fulfillment and pleasure being part of my personal fulfillment in life? Well, absolutely. Go ahead and fulfill yourself in your life being natural and being yourself. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. On the contrary, it's what we in sacred spiritual life are also trying to do. There is really no difference. If, however, along the way you find that being natural, following your idea of pleasure, desire and so on, has some kind of drawbacks or some feeling of something else that you need, then you may have to adopt some kind of discipline, and some of us turn towards spiritual practice and discipline to understand further deeper realms of naturalness in life. In other words, your apprehension or your perception of what is natural, or indeed who you are and what you want and what you desire and so on, is governed by your level of consciousness. And that level of consciousness can be developed, can be higher or deeper. I use that synonymously. You can intensify your sense of consciousness through spiritual practices in order to see that perhaps things that you used to like or used to want are no longer appropriate. It's somewhat like when you were a child, you like certain things that now you're an adult you're not so interested in. So there's been a kind of evolution, you might say, through your life, and in senior years again other things may take priority in your list of those things that you desire, those things that you're not so keen on. It changes, in other words. But it doesn't have to change only according to age. It can change in terms of deepening in levels of consciousness. And those of us who are involved with the psychospiritual practices are interested largely in deepening in present time, or in the stage of development that we find ourselves in, to see what more there may be. In a sense, we ask that question: is there more? Is there more? What more could there be? And we do that. As we do that, there's a kind of exhausting of a vista, or a kind of movement out from this present time into some imaginary fulfillment, or some other time, or some other person, or some other place, or any external event or circumstance or stimulus that would in some ways enhance what is presently the case. Those of you who are spiritually inclined then may look at the world and consider the events here that are taking place and what's happening externally in your own life, and may be critical, and you may have comments and opinions about how good it is, how bad it is, how cruel it is, how loving it is, and all of this. But fundamentally, you stand in a place of stillness inside you in order even to witness these external events. And that is a layer of consciousness which is different to the ordinary consciousness, or the most commonplace consciousness, which tends to get involved with outward events through identification and through attachment of one sort or another. So in answer to your question, yes, live, and live fully. And if you find the edges of that full life and that brings up questions for you, then seek out methods, seek out insights in psychology or in spiritual practice so that you can in fact go even further or have even more.